Hello and welcome to The Talk. This is a talk show where we're going to be discussing alternative ways of living. And today our topic is drinking. So today, to get the two scopes of the story, we have one student here who is a casual social drinker and another student that takes part in a sort of more sober lifestyle. So if you'd like to welcome our guests, we have Hannah and we have Danny. Hi. Hey, nice to meet you.
Right?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You're right.
Yeah. And just as a subtle disclaimer, this show is by no means preaching or saying that one lifestyle is better than the other. So we'll go on to our first question. So Danny, what was your first experience with drinking?
Quite a casual one, if I'm honest with you. It was a family party, you know, friends and family around, just a really nice occasion, and it was literally just the simple words, do you want to try some cider? And pretty much I said yeah, and that's how it pretty much all began.
Yep. And Hannah, how does your experience with alcohol compare your first time?
It's very similar to Danny's. Mine was a birthday party, I think 5 or 4 years ago. And yeah, just a birthday party, we celebrated, and then I had my first drink, and very typical German, it was a beer.
Brilliant. And now we're going to cut to the public where we're going to be asking them whether they drink or not. So.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yes.
I don't drink alcohol, no.
Yes, occasionally. Yeah.
Yes. I stopped drinking alcohol 21 years ago.
Something
It
going
depends on
on?
the occasion, more or less on it.
Maybe like £40 for me.
Not much. No.
Oh yes, 0.
17, 16, and I was naughty, and I went into my dad's cupboard and had a bit of whiskey, but it was a bad mistake because it burnt my throat.
Oh, well, as a kid, I don't know, I've always been had alcohol sort of like given to me in small amounts.
Well, I grew up in Russia, so I think there was at one point when I was maybe like around 5, and my mum gave me a sip of vodka. It's like, this is what vodka tastes like. It's disgusting.
And now back to our lovely guests in the studio. So, Danny, on the back of that video, why did you then choose a sober lifestyle?
Quite a big question. Really, it was the fact that I had this sort of revelation. I was sitting down with a load of friends, and you know, we were drinking, and you know, they were talking about drugs and smoking, and they were, you know, obviously it's quite a cool thing when you're younger. But I sort of sat there and I thought, you know, is this really the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And pretty much, yeah, that's why I stopped.
Great. So now we're going to see some 7-second films about alternative lifestyles. Now back to our guests in the studio. Hannah, now to you. What do you think of casual drinking as a casual drinker yourself?
I'm all for casual drinking because for me, alcohol is something special. I celebrate something with alcohol, for achievements, or if I just want to have fun with, like, when I go out with my girls, and it gives you a little bit confidence if you want to approach a guy or even a girl when you're out.
Great, and now we're going to go back to the public and see what they have to say about drinking culture.
Just fun, yeah. A bit more confidence.
I can't tell you.
To have fun, to like de-stress, yeah, to celebrate.
So if somebody, an older generation, invites me for it, only be a tiny amount, I'll drink out of respect to that person.
Okay, so on the back of that video, Hannah, being from Germany, how would you describe German drinking culture?
It's very casual because you're introduced at a very young age, because the legal age to start drinking is with 16, so you can drink wine or beer. And also from a small age, you always get a small sip from your grandfather, like in family holidays. And you always see it, like after school, after work, you buy a beer and just sit in the park and just drink and relax and enjoy.
And Danny, how would you describe British drinking culture in comparison?
I think it's very similar. I think ours is predominantly based around sort of events. So, for example, after work, going to have a drink with your friends, after uni, go and have a drink, or even going to something like a concert, drinking before the concert, after the concert, and, you know, during the concert. So, yeah, I think ours is more based around events, definitely.
Brilliant. So we're now going to go back to the public and see what they have to say about peer pressure with regard to drinking and whether they have experienced it.
I have felt pressure into it.
Yeah, I've got a massive group of friends that always sort of like constantly throw like joints in my face, like I have to smoke this. I'm just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Especially at uni. Yeah. I feel like it's a lot of pressure to drink heavier. But
I don't know, it's not the best, is it?
Could be better.
So we've seen what the public have to say, and now back to our guests. So Danny, have you ever experienced peer pressure with regard to drinking?
Yeah, of course I have. I think I've experienced it more since I've stopped than whilst I was doing it. I think it's one of those things where if you're not doing it, you're, I think, be more likely to be peer pressured into it. Definitely, oh, come on, do it with us, have fun with us. And for me, yeah, I've definitely experienced it.
Yeah, and Hannah, being a casual drinker, have you experienced peer pressure too?
Yes, of course. If sometimes when I say I don't really want to drink, and they're just like, oh, but last weekend you drank, or even if you like need to drink more, it's just like, come on, one more drink.
I see. And now we're going to go on to some films by UAL students about alternative living.
go to school. Have a family.
What?
And to wrap up our discussion, Hannah, do you have any parting wisdom that you have for our casual drinkers out there on how to stay safe?
Yes, of course. Always be in a safe environment and be with a group that you can trust and feel safe in. For me, always when I go out with my friends, there's always one person that maybe drinks a bit less. So if maybe something happens, he still has a clear mind and can solve the problem. And just also know your limit, because it's the worst if you don't know your limit and suddenly you lay on the street and maybe wake up and can't really remember anything. So yeah.
Brilliant, very important words there. So thank you very much for everyone for tuning in and watching tonight's show. And obviously thank you very much to our wonderful guests, Hannah and Danny, respectively.
Thank you.
So next week we're going to be talking about electricity and whether it is more beneficial to live with electricity or possibly live off the grid. So thank you very much again for everyone tuning in tonight, and good night. Thank you.